To learn how to enjoy the present moment and don't have expectations. Basically, you gotta trade your expectations for appreciation. The joys of life isn't doing tough shit. There is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. There's actually a book, I think, that has the title like this. Somehow we've been fed this horse shit most of our lives that we seek comfort. Everybody should seek comfort, and that's the ultimate destination. That we're gonna be happy when we reach the place of comfort. I can assure you that if you were just laying in bed, velvet and silks, and servants were feeding you food and fruits, you didn't have to do anything, after 2 or 3 days of this, you would say, get these fucking fruits out of my face, I cannot stand them anymore. We've been, over the course of generations, humans, it's in our genetic programming that we need to do tough shit. Right, that we need to survive, we need to protect our family, we need to go get food. The joys of life isn't doing tough shit, because when you're doing tough shit, you feel a sense of worthiness and a sense of accomplishment. That's why if you look at marathon runners, so the people who train for Ironman, you're gonna see, especially the ones in sales, they're gonna see that the months leading up to a race, that's where their best performing sales months is, because they go train for 2 or 3 hours a day, getting ready for the race, and then they go to their job doing sales. They feel very worthy of receiving, because they did a lot of tough work. Started out their day doing tough shit. That's why I think that happiness is in the process of doing. Success is not a destination, it's a process. And you really need to enjoy every moment of that process and not think that, hey, when I have $1 million in the bank, I'm gonna be very happy. If you look at lottery winners who win like $100 million, they're not happy, they're actually probably worse off. Because money doesn't change your state of happiness, it accentuates your current state. If you were an asshole before money was a part of the equation, now that you have a bunch of money, you're a bigger asshole. If you were a happy person and philanthropic, giving and caring before money was a part of the equation, now that you have a bunch of money, guess what? All those skills you have and all those qualities you have, they're gonna be accentuated, they're gonna be expanded, they're gonna be multiplied. You're gonna be more giving, more joyful. The key is to just learn to enjoy the present moment, not think that the grass is green on the other side. To learn how to enjoy the present moment and don't have expectations. The reason people are unhappy in marriage usually is because they have too many roles, have too many expectations, unhappy in the relationship. I think Tony Robbins has a great story because he used to travel internationally a lot. This is back in the day before Wi-Fi was available on airplanes. He remembers one day he was traveling from the United States going to Australia, and it's a long flight, it's like 16-hour flight. Of course, you're on the other side of the world, you're down, don't have any internet or phone. They tell them on the radio, all the passengers, we have a great news, this flight we're gonna have a Wi-Fi. And everybody is so cheerful and so excited and so happy. They take off, and 5 minutes into the flight, the internet stops working. And everybody is just pissed. And he says, like, I remember thinking, they're like, including himself, it's like, how dare they, to turn off our Wi-Fi? It's like 5 minutes ago, nobody even had a clue that it was even possible to have Wi-Fi in the air, and now it's an expectation. And now that its expectation has been taken away, everybody became super unhappy. So nobody controls the state of happiness other than yourself. Basically, you gotta trade your expectations for appreciation. The best thing is not to have actually any expectation against anybody. Then whatever happens, then people don't really have an opportunity to disappoint you because you don't have any expectations for them. You just appreciate whatever good happens, and whatever bad happens, also appreciate it as a learning lesson. But if you trade your expectations for appreciation, then the quality of your life and your state of being and happiness, you're gonna notice it's gonna change quickly. You're just gonna be less responsive and reactive. Also, one thing you have to realize that nothing actually that happens to us has any meaning at all, other than the meaning you assign it. Especially bad things, but also good things. If it happens to you, just be an observer. If in your mind you think it's important and you give it a lot of meaning, then it's going to be important. If you're in mind, you're just an observer and you don't give it any meaning, even if something bad happened, then few things stay important over a continuous period of time. If you look at situations and says, okay, is this going to be important 5 years from now? And the answer is no, then acknowledge it and just move on with your day. Don't give it the attention. Just keep in mind, where you place your attention is where you place your energy. So don't give it the attention, don't give it the energy, and you're not gonna keep feeding that beast. It's gonna keep sucking your energy. I remember when COVID happened, everybody was in a state of panic. And at that time, we continued to just kind of do our thing, work with our heads down, like just focus on our thing. Everybody was so consumed and paralyzed with politics and with things were happening on the news. And we just kind of continue to do our thing without any expectation what's gonna happen next. COVID or riots or political turmoil or wars, we just continue to do our thing. We remained happy, but a lot of people got paralyzed, and those were our best growth years. We quintupled, 10x our real estate portfolio and our business, because again, we stayed true to our own vision without expectations. We just had the appreciation for whatever we had at the time. which reminds me of Viktor Frankl. If you know, Viktor Frankl was an Austrian psychiatrist who survived concentration camps during World War II. And he said, you know, the people who died first were the people who thought this will all end soon. The people who died next were the people who thought this nightmare will never end. And the only people who survived the concentration camps were the people who continued to do their thing day by day without any expectation what can happen next. He also had actually a very good phrase in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, autobiography, is that suffering ceases to be suffering when it finds meaning. And whatever suffering you're going through in life right now, in the past, might go in the future, try to understand the meaning, why you're going through that experience. And as soon as you find the meaning behind it, whatever you're suffering about, it's going to cease to be suffering. Which makes me now think of Nelson Mandela, actually, because he spent 20 plus years in prison. And he says also, as soon as he found the meaning behind why he was going through that experience, it ceased to be suffering. And he almost got out of prison immediately after that. He then became a great leader, and then he invited his prison guards over to his house for dinner to thank them, because he realized what was the meaning of why he was going through that experience.